My name is Aaron Moore, and I sit on the committee for AA every Thursday here at First PB. I realized I was an addict a long time ago, when I was 10 years old. My first addiction was actually violence, just because a lot of stuff happened when I was a kid. So I tried to become the biggest and the strongest person so I could never be hurt again. Ultimately, that turned into gangs. Ultimately, that turned into prison. I am a two-striker. I went to prison for 15 years off and on. I became a skinhead. I was a horrible person. And I first found the rooms of AA actually in prison. And I started reading the book and didn't really care for it. I kind of put it to the side. But it did plant a seed. And ultimately, when I got out, I decided I don't want to go back anymore. I needed to change my life, and I believe God had a huge part in that. So I started with AA, started going to meetings, picked up a sponsor. That sponsor took me through the steps, and ultimately, it changed my life. I had a spiritual connection I never had before. My higher power at that time was just, something greater than myself. I didn't really believe in God, or I didn't really know much about God. Ultimately, that journey through AA and being sober took me to a school of ministry. And I went to a school of ministry, and then I learned everything I needed to learn about God. I read the Bible, I did inductive Bible studies, and I became saved. And during that time I became saved, I stayed plugged into AA, and I continued to work with others. I continued to help others. And during this process, I also continued to read the Bible. And ultimately what happened with my heart is my heart changed from somebody that was hateful and angry all the time to somebody that just wanted to love God and love others. We started this meeting, me and my wife started this meeting in our living room. So during COVID, a lot of our friends, a lot of people that we knew in other meetings were relapsing. They were going back out, and while all the people were so afraid of COVID, what we saw was people in recovery and people trying to stay sober couldn't stay sober, and they were dying. They were dying out there. And so we're like, you know what, forget it. We're just gonna host a meeting at our house, tell everybody, hey, we have an in-person meeting, show up if you want to. You can wear a mask, don't wear a mask, whatever you're comfortable with, And so people started showing up, and next thing you know, the meeting got so big. It was sitting room only. People were standing up outside. It was crazy. And 2 months prior to that, a gentleman came to the meeting, and he goes, hey, I'm friends with a pastor. Let me see if I can talk to him and see if he can host this meeting at the church. And so we're like, oh my God, that'd be fantastic. Please, we got to do this now, So he went and talked to the pastor, and the pastor was just amazing. He just said, yeah, no problem. We can do it. You guys need Thursday night. We negotiated everything, and we started coming here to First PB for our meeting. And ever since then, it's grown. We almost fill the church sometimes on Monday, on Thursday. It's just been amazing. It's been a huge blessing. What I wish you guys knew as a congregation about what goes on here on Monday and Thursday is this. You guys walk by people like us all the time. They're on the streets. They're talking to themselves. They're at bars. They're getting arrested. They have tattoos. They've been to prison. They come from a place of hopelessness. And when they come to a meeting, first and foremost, it's in God's house. Second, they come to a meeting and they hear their story, because all of us have very similar stories. Because we were broken, we were hopeless. Then we tell them, hey, you need to get a sponsor and you need to start working the steps. And the third step is all about surrendering to God. The 11th step is all about building a relationship with God. Once they get through the steps, what they come in contact with is a spiritual awakening. And it's the most amazing thing to see these people that are so broken, and they have so much abuse in their past and so much brokenness. And they come into AA, and this light comes on, and all of a sudden they realize they can change. All of a sudden they realize they can stay sober and they can have an amazing life. That is what AA is all about. That's what I really want you guys to understand. These people that are so hard to go deal with out in the world, that most people are scared to go talk to, we're not. We go to those places because we were those places. We go to the hopeless and we bring hope, and then we bring them to a meeting. Then they get a sponsor, then they work the steps, and all of a sudden their whole lives change. Well, I just like to thank Pastor Justin. I really appreciate you opening your house, opening your church, and allowing us to come in there. I want you to know personally that we have had so many people come up and say, I'm still sober, and the first place I got sober was at your house and at this church. So you've helped so many people opening the front doors to your church. I just want to thank you. And thank you, congregation, all of you guys, for allowing us to be here and do our AA meetings.